Hello and welcome to the Iona College Athletics Spotlight. I'm your host, Ian Saxon. Today I'm joined by Jackie McLaughlin, the intern in the Sports Information Department. Jackie, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And now, Jackie, you are a relatively new member to the Athletics Department, starting here in December. And so far, how do you like it?
So far, it's been a great experience. I feel like I've been here longer than 2 months, actually, so I'm pretty excited.
Now, Jackie, shortly out of college, you graduated in 2013 from Old Dominion. And what did you do at Old Dominion that set you up for a career in sports information?
Well, I interned at the Old Dominion University Ted Constant Center. I did videography for the basketball games, basketball and football, actually. Mostly on like the sidelines, catching all the action. Pretty exciting. Shortly after, they took me on, and I edited some graphics, maybe did a few replays during games. Pretty much set me up for this right now because during the Iona games, I'll be in the video room with Steve and helping direct cameras and teaching everybody what they need to do in order to broadcast and video stream all the games. It's pretty fun.
So now, for a lot of the time you're behind the scenes, and say if you go to a basketball game, you won't see Jackie on the court or even in the gym because you're, as you said, in the back in the video room. So now, how different is it going from being a student worker and an intern where you're doing the camera as opposed to now you're more of the director behind the scenes?
It's a big step. It's a lot more responsibility. But I mean, it's kind of easier because I come from doing the video stuff, so sometimes, as you know, most of the cameras are run by student workers. Some of them are fairly new to operating cameras, so having a knowledge of how to work the cameras, how to white balance, iris up, and all that, I try to ease up on using the terminology that they may not be familiar with, but it's a big step. I definitely enjoy it a lot more, although sometimes I do miss the action, dodging basketballs or footballs and stuff like that. It's always fun. Always making sure you get the shot was the best part of it.
And now, just this past weekend on Saturday, we had 2 ESPN 3 games, and switching your role a little bit and working with the ESPN broadcasts. How much fun was it to see that aspect of the broadcasting?
Oh, it was very exciting. I sat right next to the announcers, and I was on headset with the ESPN broadcasting. And, I mean, it was very similar to what Steve and I are telling the cameras during game, get player whoever makes a shot, get the hero shot, stuff like that. But on top of that, that director is talking to the announcers, the graphics people. He's talking to everybody, and everybody's talking at the same time. So it's pretty hectic, very difficult to concentrate on the game, but very fun, actually. Very much enjoy being on the broadcasting side of it compared to what I do in office.
You mentioned how the director is talking to the camera people, to you, to the announcers. How difficult is it to pick out when he's talking to you and when he's talking to someone else?
Well, what was good is he did know my name, even though it was my first day working with them. So anytime he needed me, he'd pretty much mention me. But most of the time, I'd pay attention to who he was talking to. I mean, sometimes he'd be like, well, I was stage managing, so I had a whole bunch of cards with promos that I would have to give the announcers so that they could read the advertisements. So I had the list of cards number 1 through like 30, and he'd be like, Jackie, give him card 35, and I got to shuffle through these cards and make sure the announcer has it in time to read it whenever they come back from a commercial break. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but after a while, it's pretty easy to just stay on top of things. You realize who he's talking to and what he wants and expects from you.
Now, what kind of... You mentioned how it's hectic when you have the game going on, the announcers right next to you, the director back in the truck. Would you say that that's something that you would want to be more a part of, or do you like it more when you're back in the video room and you're the one in charge and you're calling the shots as opposed to saying get card 34 out and you're up and you have card 3 on top and you got to scramble through and you have 30 seconds to do so?
You know what? I honestly don't even know which I would prefer. I mean, both are somewhat hectic, especially if, you're telling camera 1 to get some fans and you can't find any fans or, searching for cards. I'll take any of it. It's all just very exciting to be a part of the team and working behind the scenes and know that, you help put this production on, so I'll take either of it, really.
And now, you said you were a communications major at Old Dominion and working in their sports information department. Is sports information more where you want to go, or do you want to see your career take off more working with an ESPN or with a broadcasting side like that?
Well, doing any broadcasting, you do have to have some sort of sports information background. You have to understand what you're looking for when the game's going on. So right now I am taking as much in as I can with this sports information internship, learning what I can from John Higgins and Brian Byer. They're just great to work with, and I honestly don't know where I'm headed, but, not knowing is pretty scary, but I'll take it. I'll take as much as I can out of it. And
with your sports information job, we've talked a lot about the video aspect of it and putting on the game broadcasts, but it's not just the broadcasting of say the 2 hours that the game's going on. I mean, you've been telling me you've been in the video room all week. What have you been doing in there?
Mostly what I do is I will go back and rewatch clips. Now, Steve, what he does during game, anytime he sees a good play about to happen, he'll hit record. So he makes my life easier by chopping up clips for me. And what I do is I go back in and I label the clips. I got to know each player, who's making the shot, what kind of shot he's making, who gets the assist, and I got to label it appropriately so that whenever I give it to John or Brian and they're posting it online, they can easily clip it down to a 2-minute, reel for everybody to know what happened in the game in case they missed it for the video streaming.
And so now, in a typical game, how many highlights would you say that you guys cut up?
Oh, probably, well, half the time when we're starting a clip to record, you don't always know if the ball is going to make it into the basket. So right from there's over 100 clips. And lucky for us, if you remove it from the recording setup, it's got the numbers labeled. So I'll just go back to the folder and look for which clips were good. And I'll probably clip it down to anywhere between 20 and 40.
Ian Sachs here on the Iona Athletic Spotlight, joined today by Jackie McLaughlin from the Iona Sports Information Department. And now, Jackie, how many times is it where you'll have maybe 50 clips that you think, wow, these are all 50 of these deserve to get in there, and you have to cut it down, as opposed to you have maybe 15 clips and you need 20, and it's where am I going to get those extra 5 from?
Yeah, sometimes what I try to do is, I cut the clips down. If I have like 40, I'll cut down to when the player has the ball in his hand, so when he shoots it to the basket. But sometimes what you could do, if, it looks like the team's doing a good job passing the ball to each other, trying to work their way to the basket, you can extend that clip, show how much team effort there is. So that's sometimes what I'll try to do.
Jackie, you said how you've been involved in a lot with video production and putting on broadcasts and things like that. But in your role here now at Iona, that also includes, writing game stories and a lot to do with writing and more print journalism or online journalism. How much of a transition has it been, going from just pretty much working with video to now also having the writing part of the job?
Well, yeah, like I said, writing is still fairly new to me, but John has been there to help me, look back on some of the work that Iona has put out there as far as stories go, and I try to get a feel for how the style is for our website and try to work off that and trying to add my own style to it. So far, mostly what I've been doing is a lot of biographies for a lot of our athletic department. Anytime there's a promotion, recognizing that. And right now I'll follow swimming and diving, and I'll write some stories as far as their results go. I'm just learning, keep on learning, taking it in, making myself better as much as I can with that writing.
Yeah, how challenging has it been? I know you said that you live in Rockland, to have pretty much a full-time 9-to-5 job, and then also coming in with the games. Mostly the games are weekday nights or weekends, so it's a lot more than a 40-hour week. Just tell me, how challenging it is, and if you were to guess, how many hours would you say you actually work in a week?
Oh, geez, that's a lot of math I can't really do on the top of my head. Well, normally, if there's a 2 o'clock game, you'll see me here at 10 o'clock getting those cameras ready, and 2 o'clock games run till about 4, so I'll be part of the putting cameras away too, so I probably don't get out of here till 5:30. So that's basically an extra couple of hours on top of the 9-to-5 hours. So it's not really that big a deal to me, because when I was at Old Dominion, I was a full-time student on top of the internship and stuff like that. So I've gotten pretty good at balancing my time and making sure I get as much free time to myself as I can. But, I really enjoy this job, so half the time it doesn't even feel like I'm working.
And at Old Dominion, you were starting out as a student assistant in their athletics department. What did some of your tasks there? I know you said you did cameras at the basketball games. What was there anything else? Was there any maybe office work that they had you do, or was it more pretty much on a game day basis?
Well, since it was an internship, I also got class credit for it, which means I had to put in extra hours in order to get that credit. So weekdays was kind of the same as here without the writing. Of course, I would go in because there was football, basketball, all these sports that we followed much like we do here. I went through a lot of clips, creating highlight reels. If there was a senior day, I'd find clips of that senior being recognized and just kind of put together highlights of their career. Sometimes I'd even make intro videos that they would play before the games in-house most of the time, and pretty much the same here, just not as much writing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much exactly like what I know you've been doing here. With the, as you were saying, with the cutting the highlights and everything. So now, as I know, basketball season has been very hectic for everybody in sports information and the athletics department at large. But now the spring sports are starting to get into season, as the water polo team kicked off their season over the weekend. And where do you see your tasks going as we're transitioning from basketball season and winter sports into more of the spring season?
Well, as you know, like you said, water polo had a great start this past Sunday. So, I attended the game to get a feel for what actually goes on during those. So I'm just trying to get a better understanding of game day events as far as water polo and baseball, softball. So it's pretty exciting right now. Just learning right now, and having directions from Higgins and Brian Byer, and just take it as I go, really.
And I know you mentioned you've been writing basically swimming and diving. That's been the main sports you've been writing about. But do you know of any spring sports that you'll be more focused on in the spring?
Not at the moment yet. I kind of try to just take on anything that Brian or John can't handle at the moment. You know, I'm constantly nagging them, give me more work, find me something, I'll do. You know, I'll write anything at this moment. You know, if you need something done by the end of the day, I'll have it to them. So pretty much if they have something that needs to be written or something that needs to be followed, I'm right there.
And now, you know, how would you say you've really enjoyed your time so far here at Iona?
Well, it's been off to a great start. You know, it's been a great season with basketball and men's and women's basketball right now. It's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to anything else that comes up.
Well, Jackie, it's been a pleasure having you so far at Iona for these so far, I guess, 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
And then I look forward to working with you more at the games and in sports information. And thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That's Jackie McLaughlin from the Iona Athletics Sports Information Department. I'm your host, Ian Sachs, and have a great week, everybody.
Hi, this is Jason Mott, closer for the 2011